Welcome to the Run Cult podcast, where running meets the culture. I'm Rebecca, your host, and I'm so excited to introduce someone who is making a huge wave in the running culture here in Atlanta. But before we get started, this episode is brought to us by SP Wellness, which is a nutrition and counseling service that offers lifestyle prescriptive type of wellness plans that are designed to help you form lasting identity-shaping habits through education, accountability, and if needed, any possible medication prescriptions. So the way that it works is that you'll start a consultation call with Dr. Efi, who is a friend of mine and a physician who will assess your lifestyle habits and create a personalized wellness plan tailored just for you. Check out the link in the show notes and in the caption for some more details. And don't forget to mention the Run Cult podcast for a special offer. So go ahead and take the first step towards a healthier, more balanced life with SB Wellness, especially if you're thinking about maybe getting into running and you're not quite there yet. All right, now let's get into the episode. He's had an incredible journey, a 38-year career as a former executive at Capitol Records, Atlantic Records, and a flurry of others. So he'll tell us a little bit more about that. Working with legendary artists like the Isley Brothers, Anita Baker, Mary J. Blige, T.I., Migos, and more. So beyond his career, he's also been taking extraordinary running challenges, such as running 12 hours on the treadmill or a 100-mile run, all for fundraising efforts. And as the founder and CEO of Music Education Group, a nonprofit dedicated to teaching life skills and fostering careers in music for the youth, he's making a lasting impact on the community. Alongside his wife, Dawn, he continues to inspire and give back. And his biggest hit yet, the first Black-owned Big Peach Running Co. store, is breaking new ground in the running world. So it is my absolute honor and pleasure to welcome the incredible Ric Ross, also known as Ric the Runner, to the show. Ric, thank you so much for being here. First of all, how are you?
I'm great.
Have you had your breakfast yet?
Yes, I did. 8 miles this morning.
What? For
Yeah.
real?
Yeah, 8
Oh,
miles
wow.
this morning.
He ate that. Wow, amazing. Well, thank you for being here. I'm happy that you've made it. He came all the way from South Fulton, so it was a trek to get up north side.
Yes, it was, but it's all good.
Very good.
Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. This is going to be an amazing episode, everyone. So definitely look forward to this. I want to start and talk a little bit about your background in running. How did you even get into running?
I've been running my whole life. Like literally, like my whole life. My mom said I used to when I was little, I found out how to open the screen door. So I would open the screen door and I would just shoot out the house and I would be running through the projects.
What?
And she would have to send guys to catch me and bring me back. I didn't know this, but yes.
So what, you were going on like a jog or something?
I would just get out the house and start running through the projects. I didn't know this until later on, until we was having a conversation one day and she was like, yeah, you used to just, once you were able to open the screen door, you would hit the latch and you would just
oh my God.
run out the apartment and I would just be running through the project. Yeah, she would have to send guys to catch me.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, okay.
Since a child.
Yeah, so I've always had this thing for running. I didn't know where it came from. Yeah, my mom didn't run, my dad didn't run. It was just something that I just love doing.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit. So I saw that you've done cross country.
Yes.
As a youth.
Yeah.
Was that
in high school? Yes.
Okay.
In high school, I did cross country. I ran track. I played soccer. I mean, I just did it, and I wasn't like I was like great at it, but it was just something that I loved to do. So I first started running cross country because I played soccer. So it was a way for us to get in condition. Then a lot of the basketball players, some of the football players would run. So I just got into this thing of running distance, So I was like, I kind of like this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As we were talking a little bit earlier, Ric did mention working in the music industry and some of the hip hop studios being near kind of where I live. So tell us a little bit about your beginnings in the music industry as a former executive. I mentioned him working at Capitol Records and Atlantic Records, but there's actually so much more. So tell us a little bit about that beginning.
Yeah, well, I've always loved music. Like since I was little, I grew up in the house where my dad played the Temptations, all the Motown, Isaac Hayes. I mean, I just always loved music, so it's just always been there. Even in elementary, middle, and high school, I played instruments. I played trumpet. As I got into high school, I started playing guitar. Me and my best friend, we would, spend a lot of time at his house just, messing around with instruments. He taught me how to play percussion. I was in bands, never really good at it, but I just enjoyed it. As I got older and coming out of high school, I wanted to pursue a career in the entertainment industry. I still didn't know what that looked like. So there was a school here back then called the Music Business Institute, which was right up by Lenox Mall. And all the classes were taught by industry professionals, concert promotions, video promotions, radio promotions. We had an attorney. So it was a gamut of just industry professionals that would teach us about the industry. So I just kind of fell in love with radio promotions. And in 1986, I took my first job at this company called WEA Warner Electric Atlantic, which was the distribution company for Warner Brothers Records, Elektra Records, Atlantic Records, and a host of other subsidiary labels. So I worked in the warehouse. This was pre-CD.
Oh.
So we were still shipping cassettes and vinyl to retail stores. And I just kind of worked my way through the ranks. Learned the whole system, learned the distribution system. I ran the mailroom, which we called a promo cage. And a lot of the promotion reps would ask me to take records to the DJs. So this was back in like 80, 86, 87, that I would start taking records to all the clubs in Atlanta, which now people call it, street promotions and all that stuff. Back then, we didn't have a name for it. It was just something that I did. So I was like 19 years old, so I wasn't even old enough to get in the clubs, but I got in all the clubs in Atlanta. I would service all the DJs. And it was probably some of the best times of my life, just really doing a lot of marketing. They just gave me free range to do whatever I wanted to do at the club. So I would do promotions, outside of working with all the DJs. So, it was that whole first street team stuff that I was doing. And it was really based because the record reps didn't want to go to the clubs. They were traveling, they were doing other stuff. So they were like, yo, we got you here.
You do it.
This is a way for you to make your bones and learn the business. So, take all these, take records to all the clubs. So this was early Magic City and this club called the Phoenix. And I mean, like all these clubs, like this was pre-90s, before everybody started moving to Atlanta. People started really, saying Atlanta was popping. Atlanta's always been popping. So, as I really started learning the business, I was offered my first promotion job in Charlotte, North Carolina, for Reprise Records, which was the sister label to Warner Brothers Records. So they didn't have a rep in the market. The guy that was covering the market he was flying in from Florida all the way to the Carolinas. So my boss, David Linton, shout out to David. He's also the program director for WCLK now here in Atlanta. But he was my VP. And he said, well, we're looking for a rep to be in the Carolinas. And would you want to take the job? I'm like, sure. So flew to Raleigh for the interview. I was like, yo, this is kind of far from Atlanta. Where can I stay? He was like, well, Charlotte is kind of halfway, so you can move to Charlotte. So I moved to Charlotte. I was the first rep from the company to actually stay in the market. So they had never had a rep in the market, and I was the first guy to have that job. So from there, I spent time at Reprise, and then I left there. I went to Electra Records. From Electra, I went to Island Records. So, working with Anita Baker, Keith Sweat. Oh my God. Drew Hill, Kelly Price, Big Daddy Kane. So Earth, Wind and Fire. So many artists. Zap, Roger Troutman. So Carolinas was a big radio market, still a big radio market. So a lot of acts would come through the Carolinas, both North and South, and that was the markets that I covered. And after that, I went to Capitol Records, and I took my first national job, and I stayed there, and then I moved back to Atlanta with Capitol. So it's just been this whole thing of always loving music, but at the same time, running was always there. Like people just didn't, people really didn't know that I was running. So music and running has always just been side by side. It's just always did. It was always there. It was like my downtime things that it was just, I just loved it. So, in 2001 is where I really started really getting back into it, because I would run every now and then when I was in Charlotte, but not as much as I did before I moved there. So when I moved to Charlotte, it was kind of like just trying to learn the business of, entertainment. So my running kind of slowed down. I would run here and there. And then I really picked it back up. But when I moved back to Atlanta, I could only run like a mile a day. Like I was out of shape.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But that mile went from 1 mile to 2 miles to 3 miles. And it was actually because one of my neighbors, he liked lifting weights. And I was like, dude, I don't lift weights. So if you run with me, I will lift weights. So I would lift weights, and then we would run a mile a day.
Oh, nice.
Then the miles started increasing. And then he was like, dude, I can't run with you anymore. Like literally, I can't run with you. So it's always just been there.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I was wondering what parallels you kind of observed from running and music, and maybe even like, I guess, the music business, because it does take a lot of, perseverance, pushing through boundaries and obstacles. So it kind of sounds like, and I'm sure like maybe with the music business, maybe there were some type of parallels where you had to maybe push for certain things to happen, or did you notice any parallels with life?
I mean, the record business is a very competitive business.
Oh, okay.
Very competitive. You really have to know your craft. Like radio promotions is an art form. Like literally, like you're a salesman, but you still have to be able to finesse, still have to be able to deal with people. So it's a lot that goes into that. And for me, running just kind of centered me to deal with different attitudes, different people. Like, in a day, I can deal with 30 different attitudes because I'm calling 30 different people trying to get my records played on the radio. So,
wow.
So for me, it was like I had to find a place where I could center myself, calm myself down, not be so rah-rah, but making sure that I got my point across. So running was that thing that just, in the morning, I would go running. It would center me. I would be calm. I would do my job. And I just really enjoyed that time to myself, gave me time to think. I always had music, so I'm always listening to music. But it was just something that I could get away from my phones before I started my day. And that's really how I just centered myself, kept myself at a certain level, because the business can be very stressful. And you need some way to release that stress, and running was that thing for me.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk a little bit more about Big Peach Running Co. I went to the recent opening, the grand opening of the Big Peach Running Co. in South Fulton about last week? last weekend, 2 weeks
ago. 2 weeks
wow.
ago now. Yeah, I know time flies. So.
It was like yesterday, y'all, literally. Yeah. And it was an amazing event. Rick got to speak and we got to meet members of the community. It started off with, I believe, a 3 and a 6 mile run around the neighborhood of South Fulton.
Yep, in the rain.
In the rain. I wasn't really with the rain, so I came a little bit after.
Yeah, it was nothing we could do about that, but runners run.
Exactly. And I am a runner, but I knew I was going to get content. I was like, you know what, just pull up just a little bit after. So anyways, the event was amazing. They had giveaways. They had a really fun raffle. I got to see, my running friends from different crews that came out. It was an amazing event. And I know that, this is a very big accomplishment because this is the first Black-owned Big Peach Running Co. franchise. And I think this is the first Black-owned running store in Georgia,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a huge milestone, and it, kind of marked history. So I want to talk a little bit more about that. How did this even come about?
Wow. I mean, this was 20 years in the making, whether you know it or not. Mm-hmm. And it all stems back from my entertainment career. So Dawn and I had an opportunity to move back to Charlotte. I was working for Capitol Records, mm-hmm. the first time I was working for Capitol Records. And a job came opening in Atlanta, and I talked to my boss. I was like, listen, I think it's time for me to move back home. I don't know what it is, but I need to get back home. Mm-hmm. And he was like, okay, cool. So Dawn and I moved back to Atlanta.
Dawn is his wife.
Dawn is my wife. We moved back, and my office was actually up off of Peachtree Industrial. Oh. So I would just take Peachtree down into the city, and I was actually going to grab some lunch, and I saw this store called Big Peach, and I was thinking about getting back into running. So I just went in there, and I met Mike, the owner. We struck up a conversation, and I started buying all my running shoes there. First pair of running shoes that I bought, my second pair when I ran my first marathon. So it was just like, that's where I bought all of my shoes at. And we just developed a friendship, over the years. Mm-hmm. So going from a customer to a friend to a business partner, that was a 20-year span. But like our relationship just kind of took a turn during the whole George Floyd, mm-hmm. That all that uprising that was going on, mm-hmm. the hard conversations that we were all having about what was going on in the Black community, mm-hmm. and how, we were just being treated, Ahmaud Arbery, right. Like that really hit home as a runner. We could all be caught up into something like that, running through a neighborhood. And, so me and Mike had some real hard conversations, and we started talking about the industry, because at that time, a lot of running groups were starting to kind of pick up, and, mm-hmm. Blacks we spent a lot of money in that space, which, a lot of people didn't know in terms of, shoes, apparel, paying for races, all this stuff, and I had to double back, because when I started doing a lot of these races, I hardly ever saw Blacks doing them. Like, we would be sprinkled in here and there, but it wasn't like it is now. So Mike and I had these hard conversations, and I was like, we as Blacks spend a lot of money in this space, and there's no ownership. So this has to change. And he was like, yeah, it's long overdue. And the first thing he said to me, he was like, I can't come to your neighborhood and open a store up. He said, because I'm a white dude. Like, that's not going to work, And I got to thinking, I was like, yeah. So we started having conversations about, me being a Peach partner, what is that, franchising. Mm-hmm. And from there on, I just started writing the business plan out. And once I got it done, I presented it to Dawn, and then we started working the numbers, and hooked up with Donald Lamar over at the SBA, over at Morehouse. Mm-hmm. So me, Donald, Mike, and Dawn would just have these meetings, and we started putting the numbers together, and it made sense. So, here we are now.
Interesting. Yeah. Wow. A lot of people, people who have their own ideas for business, sometimes they do want to go kind of like the independent route. I find that, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, but some not as many franchise owners, and that could be debated. But you could have just gone on your own and said, I'm going to make my own running store. Like, I don't need, the label of Big Peach. What made you want to choose to franchise as opposed to just going your own way?
One, because of the brand, because of Mike and our relationship. And we're talking about a 20-year span of Big Peach being in this space, being very well respected in this industry. My friendship with Mike, and it just felt right. It really did. And let me say something about franchise, because mm-hmm. You look at Starbucks, you look at Chick-fil-A, you look at McDonald's, you look at all these Bojangles. I think, Coach K, who, partnered with P over at QC, he just franchised maybe like 30 or 40 something Bojangle chicken places or something like that. So franchising is not bad, especially when you can latch onto a brand that's moving, and it makes it much easier. Yes, I could have went the independent route, but would I have gotten the support from Nike, Adidas, Mizuno, or Brooks, or any of these other brands? Would they have embraced me out the gate, not having no sales history at all?
Right.
And saying, hey, I want to carry your shoes in my store? I don't think so. I don't think so. But with the reputation of Big Peach, I was able to circumvent all of that. And we carry pretty much all the brands, and working on one last one. Which will remain nameless. But and it's nothing to do with us. It's just just some other things that need to take place. Mm-hmm. But we carry all the major brands, and I don't think I could have done that if I was just independent. And then the support system that Mike has, the systems, the things that are put in place. I mean, like, this has been seamless for us.
Wow.
Like, literally seamless.
Wow.
Any information, any data that I need, I can get it, because Mike is big on data, and Big Peach has plenty of data. And it helps us make educated decisions on products that we purchase, shoes, all of that stuff. It's more complicated than people think. It's just not you just buying a shoe and putting it up on you got to study the shoe. You got to know the shoe. I'm doing training now on all the Hoka shoes. So it's a lot that goes into the technology of the shoes. And we've just never had that in our community. Big Peach is known for our fitting process.
Right.
Bringing people in, putting them on the Atrax machine, making sure that when you leave the store, you leave them with the shoe that fits your feet. So it's a process. We're not just giving you a box of shoes and letting you walk out. You at least gonna spend in there 20 minutes. At least 20 minutes. Now, if you're a seasoned runner and you just know, hey, I want this Nike, Alpha Fly in the size 10.5. This is the shoe I've been running in. Hey, pull it, give it to you, try it on, make sure this is what you want, but also look at some of the new products that are coming out. So it's educating our community, and that's what this store is. This store is just not a store that's just selling shoes. We're doing seminars and workshops and events. You know, we have several events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. So this is a place for the community, you know, and people are intimidated. Sometimes people are intimidated to walk into a store that says running.
So true.
And we purposely said, no, we sell running and walking shoes, because we did not want our people walking in and say, well, I don't run, so I can't wear any of these shoes. That's not true. If you got 2 feet, you walking. You know, if you're not running, you know, maybe these shoes will encourage you. And if you never want to and you just want to walk, fine. We got every shoe pretty much is made for you to walk in, versus, you know, unless you're getting a racer or something like that. But we just never been educated.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about educating our community, giving them the product and things that they want, and just being a place where people can feel like, hey, I feel good walking in here. The service is good. We're big on customer service. Our guests are super important to us. And that's always been my thing, you know, even coming, you know, taking all of the things that I've learned in the entertainment industry and bringing it to the store, making sure that our customers are satisfied when they leave the store is the one thing that I'm a stickler on, and I'm never backing back from that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
While you were talking, I was thinking of the location, and also the idea that you will be taking people who didn't even think they could run, maybe from being sedentary to possibly walking, and then from walking to getting into running. I know the store has, you know, just opened, so we'll see kind of what success stories you get out of that. But it seems like a community space that will allow people to feel at home and feel encouraged to take that further step. So how has the feedback been so far from the community since opening? I know it's only been a couple of weeks.
The feedback has been incredible. Like, I mean, people walk in the door and they're like, wow, I can't believe that a Big Peach is on our side of town.
South Fulton, y'all.
And then it's like, I can't believe it's Black owned. You know, because somebody came in yesterday and they were like, yeah, somebody told me that it was a Big Peach. And she said her husband was like, you know, white folks in that store? And she had to call him back. She's like, no, these are Black people that are running this, that own this Big Peach. So it was so funny. But it's just, I mean, it's
a question for real.
It's a question for real. Like, because Big Peach is just known to where they were at, whether it's Alpharetta, Kennesaw, Midtown, Brookhaven. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and for them to be like, they got a Big Peach on the South Side? That's like putting the Houstons on Bankhead with Donley Hollowell. Like, you got to be kidding me. And not on the Upper West Side, but deep down by like 285 on that end by the bank or something like that.
Near 20.
Yeah. So people are shocked. You know, they like, wow, a Big Peach?
Amazing.
In South Fulton? So it's been crazy, you know, just to see the response from people when they walk in the door and they like, this doesn't look like any other Big Peach store. Like, yeah, because we're not.
Get it right.
We're not. We are, but we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike and the team has allowed us to be creative and tailoring the store to however we want it to look. So
right, because, you know, when you're franchising, you do have to, you know, there are some guidelines that you do have to kind of abide by.
Yes.
So luckily they gave you that flexibility, and they should. I mean, we want to feel at home. We want our own creature comforts in the store.
I mean, you know, everybody loves the store when they walk in. We still got a couple of things that we're doing, but for the most part, everybody loves the store. My architect, Randy and Jason, they were incredible. They done all the big piece stores as the architect, but I wanted to hire a black GC, general contractor.
Okay.
I wanted to. That was my whole thing, but at the particular time, I didn't know who was going to come in and bid for the job. Now, whoever gave us the right bid and was going to do what we wanted to do, we were going to go with them. But just so happened that the company that we went with was black owned.
Oh.
And he's a runner. He's a runner. Sean is a runner. He runs with South Fulton Running Partners.
Yes.
So, and he also spent time in the entertainment industry, and he worked with Neo, and I worked with Neo. So it was like, yo, this is weird.
That's very crazy.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, and the conversation was about something else when we started talking. It was never about, I didn't even know he was a contractor. So he just so happened to say it, and I was like, well, put a bid in. So his bid came back, and it was the best bid, and he delivered the store on time. So everything just kind of fell into place on this, and it's just been great. So now it's learning more of the business, hiring the right staff. Our manager, store manager, LaQuanda, is a female. We have one of the dopest consultants, Shanta, who's also one of the founders of The Race. She's working with us. We're hiring. We're hiring now. One of our young our employees, he's a student over at Georgia State, and we're still hiring. So we're still putting the team together.
They're hiring y'all.
Yeah, so we're still putting the team together, but it's fun. I'm having a blast.
It seems like it came together very divinely in perfect order.
It did. We're 9 minutes from my house. Like literally from door to door. Wow. I'm 10 minutes from where I started my music career at. Like,
wow.
Full circle. My mom's like 15 minutes away from the store. I'm still in my same neighborhood where I grew up at. I'm like, you can't ask for a better situation. Like, so we're having fun. Somebody asked me the other day, say, are you gonna retire? I was like, retire for what?
For what?
Retire? Nah, I'm good. It's so funny because Dawn had to remind me of this. You know, we're sneakerheads we're sneakerheads anyway.
Oh,
like,
really?
Yeah, we're sneakerheads. I had the original Jordans. Yes, the originals. I wore the original Jordans, not these recycled versions that they do now. But we've
Shots
always
fired.
Yeah. I ain't new to this. I'm true to this. But we've always been sneakerheads. So, and we used to always say we wanted a shoe store. I just never knew it would be a specialty running store.
Oh.
Yeah. So, it kind of, all came together, and then we started our clothing line as well, but this started back in 2007 when we started our first clothing line, which was called Bold Wear Clothing, which was a Christian clothing line. Because we were seeing a bunch of stuff that we just didn't like, and I wanted to wear something that represents my faith, but something that was also fashionable too. Yeah. So we started that, but then we shut it down. But we always kept the name. We trademarked everything, but then we wanted to start something that was more so in the athleisure and activewear side. So we started Bold Running Club. So we're working on that, working with some companies overseas, testing out products. So you'll be seeing a lot more of that stuff coming, real soon. So, exciting. and that all stems for me. That was a company that I used to buy all of their product, and they were looking for ambassadors for it. And I was like, yo, I'm gonna fill out. I love the product. I want to sign up. I want to be an ambassador. And they sent me an email back, and it was like, thank you for, applying for an ambassador, but basically you don't fit our profile. And I was like, and I went on the website and I started looking. I was like, oh, I'm not white.
Oh.
So I don't use that product no more, and I won't carry it in my store. So I said, you know what? I create my own.
That's it.
So I created my own, sampled my stuff, did everything that I needed to do to say, you know what, my product is just it's gonna be just as competitive as any other stuff that is out on the market. So I've been developing the activewear stuff for the last 2 years, and I said I would wear it, make sure that it's good, make sure that it's solid, make sure that it's something that I would purchase myself before I introduce it to the public. So so by the spring, summer, we'll probably start introducing some pieces, some shorts, some shirts, and then we're gonna get into lady tights and all that stuff. So, and it'll be for plus size women, all of that, because that's one of the things that Dawn and I talked about. A lot of the stuff is it only goes to a certain size, or so we're learning all of this now. So we want to make sure that we service everybody, not just the small slim folks, but people who want and deserve something that fits them and that they can wear, versus selling for something that, because hey, I'm X amount of size, I'm this, I can't, I can't wear this. So we have put a lot of thought into all of this. And then too, the store just with the store just kind of play in our hands. So now I can carry my own brand in my own store. So I don't have to go out and try to find somebody to say, hey, can you carry my stuff in your store and see if it sells? So I can try everything that I want to do in my own store.
And that is the power of ownership, y'all.
Yeah.
You can, if they don't want to work with you, you create your own opportunity.
Yeah. So, and of course, we ain't got to get into what's going on with the government, but at the same time, I don't care what's going on. Like, has no impact on what I do. And I think we have to get to a point where, as Black business owners, we just have to cater to who we cater to. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And getting the word out, doing good business, carrying quality product, making sure that you're serving your guests and giving them the experience that they deserve, because people are spending their money.
Yeah.
And that's what we're about. And I just don't want to just be known as a Black business. I'm a business. Like, I serve everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We just so happen to be Black.
Right.
But we serve the community. I don't care what color you are. At the end of the day, we just want you to get good service when you walk through our doors. That's the bottom line.
But, when you have that intention, you do create your own economy, and in a way you've freed yourself in being independent from whatever is going on out there, whoever's in office, whoever is, trying to get your vote, what have you, through being diligent and serving your customers, whether that is through your product or your service. Yeah. So we are business people, but I also think there's a second layer to that does serve you as a Black person in America.
Yeah.
Because now you've created your own economy where it doesn't matter if the shirt's not if you can't get them to buy the shirt, you already carry it in your own store.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're autonomous. So
yeah. And that's the thing, just having that control to move the way that you want to move versus moving on somebody else's dime, and me being in the entertainment industry, knowing product, knowing marketing, knowing how to have an impact in the marketplace because of the things that I've done. So, 37, 38 years in the entertainment industry has prepared me for this. But not only that, also serving the community. You have to be a servant. Like, you can't be in this type of business and not be in the service business. Like, we also run a nonprofit.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that. That's a perfect segue. I did want to talk a little bit about the philanthropy part of Ric Ross. I went to, at the grand opening, Ric had a moment where he kind of introduced us to his mother and spoke to us about her commitment to service ever since, you were a child, and her working in the hospital, as well as your father. And I think I've noticed through your stories that there is some ownership in you creating your own opportunities, even through your nonprofit, and meshing that along with service. So tell us which endeavors you have, and then maybe we can learn a little bit more about why you even care so much about that.
Yeah. So 20 years ago, now it'll be 21 this year, I was at home. I was in between jobs. And I was just sitting around the house, and I was just praying to God, like, if you put me back in the industry, put me back in with a purpose. And out of the blue, this idea came to me, music education group, like clear as day.
Wow.
I was like, okay. A week later, my friend, my brother, called me and was like, it's time for you to come back to work.
Oh, wow.
And I went back and I started working at Atlantic Records. And the first artist that I had an opportunity to really work with was Tip. And Tip was already doing like some things in the community around the holiday, Christmas and all that stuff. But I wanted to go a little deeper. So I told my boss that when I have artists in town, that I wanted to take them to the schools. So some people were giving me some resistance about it, and they was like, well, we don't really want to do that. I was like, listen, I think it'll be a great idea. We take the artists to the school. We do these master classes, let them hear from the artists about, their career path and, just the entertainment industry. So that's kind of how MEG started.
Music Education Group.
Yes, MEG.
And it's a nonprofit.
Nonprofit. Yes, we are a nonprofit. And our mission is to teach life skills and career development through music, film, and digital media. So what I found out was that I was like, you know what? I need to change the narrative on how we present this nonprofit. Instead of having artists come in, let me get the managers, let me get attorneys, let me get people from publishing on the business side of the industry, the side that I was on. Because believe it or not, I had artists that were selling platinum records, didn't know anything about their publishing. And they would be asking me questions. So I'm saying to myself, if this artist who's selling millions of records is having questions about his publishing, then I'm quite sure a lot of other kids are having the same thing. So the organization just started to evolve from those conversations to now. We have partnerships with Atlanta Public Schools, Fulton County Schools, Cobb County Schools. We also partners with the Say the Music Foundation out of New York, where we go in and lend technical support to teachers and also teach them on how to use the equipment so they can teach the kids. So right now we're probably in about 17, 18 schools across the city. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. So we just put a studio in Westlake High School. We have one, we're finishing Langston Hughes High School, South Atlanta, Best Academy. We also have one in the city of Fairburn. So we got a lot of stuff going on. We're in Athens this Friday for GMEA which is a big conference for music teachers, for about 4,000 music teachers. So we're taking kids down from Thera High School to do podcasts and all that type of stuff. So yeah, so we're all about service. Like that's what we do. So serving the community, the store is just another extension of what we've already been doing in the community.
Amazing. Well, I know that not only have you contributed to the running community, now you're changing the lives of the youth who maybe you can sprinkle in for them to get into running too.
Well, like I said, we started a foundation called the Ignite Run Collective Foundation, where we'll be making donations to a lot of the schools and rec centers to help with gear, whether it be running shoes, clothes, or equipment that these kids. So we made an investment over at Westlake. We're getting ready to do something with Langston. So yeah, so we're I have to invest in that. That's what I love to do. So that's what we are. We're about service. That's who we are. That's what we do. I don't think nothing about it. It's just I don't. Somebody asks. That's what we are. We here to serve. That's just who we are. So, we're having a ball. We're definitely having a ball. We're living the dream, as a lot of people would say. So, but it's all about the community. I don't need nothing. I'm good. And I'm not just talking about financially. Spiritually, I'm good. I know the things that God has asked me to do, I've been obedient to doing them. And, I'm not even supposed to be here. I got hit by a car running. So I know, like, every moment that I'm breathing is a gift from God. I know I'm not supposed to be here.
Wow.
Yeah, I was hit by a car running, hit from behind. Car was doing about 60 coming down the backside of my neighborhood.
Oh my God.
She said she dropped her coffee. Yeah, and she hit me from the back. Yeah. I couldn't walk for like almost 5 years. I had 2 back surgeries. Yeah, I had to have what they call microdiscectomies. So when you can't walk and you're in pain constantly and you're taking all this different medication and you can't sleep, you can't drive, and I'm doing all this while I'm working.
Oh my goodness.
I could not run. Like, yes, I could not run. So 2008 to like 12, 14. Yeah, I recovered from that. Then I ran a couple of races. I was training for another race, and then I got hit. So I had to go back through the whole process again.
Twice.
2 back surgeries. I don't have any feeling in my outer right foot. Can't feel anything. But that doesn't stop me.
Right. It's a blessing to be here. He ran 8 miles this morning.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't think nothing about it. I just, so God is just, he's blessed me beyond. I never thought that I would spend 38 years in the entertainment industry. Did everything that I wanted to do. Was inducted into the National Black Radio Hall of Fame in St. Louis. Wow. I've done it all.
What a life well lived. And he still has more juice in him.
Yeah. So I'm just getting started.
Oh man, amazing.
I'm just getting started. Yeah. So
on
we got a lot.
Of the running community, the music community, the youth, we thank you for your service, you and Don, for making life better for the masses. You've definitely have solidified a legacy at this point.
Yeah.
Even if you want to retire, sit down on the beach, lives have been changed from because of your existence and the effort that you've put to make this world a better place.
Yeah, I couldn't have done any of this without Dawn, though. Like, that's my life partner, that's my wife, my business partner. Like, we've been together 30 30 something years.
Oh my goodness.
30, almost 37 years.
Okay, we're gonna have to bring you back so we can speak with Don and maybe have some relationship tips about how to have a long-lasting marriage, because those are rare nowadays.
Yeah.
But thank you, Don, if you're watching. Where can we find you? What is the address of Big Peach?
Okay, so the address for Big Peach, we're at 5829 Campbellton Road, Suite 102. We're at the Sandtown Crossing Shopping Center at the corner of Camp Creek and Campbellton in the city of South Fulton. And then you can go to our website, which is Big Peach Running Co. If you want to purchase something online from our store, that's all you got to do is click down and you can hit the South Fulton location. Our website for the music education group is themeg.org, themeg.org, and you can learn more about that. Follow us on Big Peach _ South Fulton on IG, and then you can follow me on IG at Ric the Runner, Ric RICDA Runner on IG and Facebook.
Yes,
I'm out here in these streets.
Out here, look out for him. And Ric, are there any last words for anyone who may feel discouraged or might be at a standstill? Maybe they're suffering from some injuries and need a little bit of a positive word.
This is what I tell people all the time. Like, run your own race. Start at your own pace. Don't worry about who's to the left of you, to the right of you, who's in front of you or behind you. Because life is only about what you give, not about what anybody else gives you. And you have to make those steps in order to move forward. Like, a mile starts with one step. It starts with one step. Take your time. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the moment. And give back. Give those life lessons to somebody else that you have experienced, that you have learned, because we all can encourage somebody that we know. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're supposed to do. Sharing our testimony with people and not holding back. We have to be, when you're in a public space, you have to be transparent with people. Because people want to know. They think, hey, you just woke up one morning and everything was great.
Right.
Nah, there's a lot of people out here that are hurting, and they need somebody to encourage them and to share with them the things that they're going through. So I ain't saying you got to go so deep in, but at least give somebody enough so they can keep going. And that's all I've ever done is just live by example. I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not all that, even though, I'm a deacon at my church. I serve every Sunday.
Wow.
But I'm not that dude. I live by example. And that's how I've always lived my life. So, just share, share, love each other, serve each other. That's what, I was going to post something this morning. The only thing I was just going to post was love. That was it. That's it. Showing each other some grace. Like, we so caught up in everything else that we forget the simple stuff. Like love. And it's hard, but we can do it. You know what I'm saying? It is hard. But when you take self out of it, it makes it a whole lot easier. People ask me all the time, man, why do you work with kids? Why do you do that? Why do you work in the community? Why do you put yourself out there and deal with the things that you deal with? Because I love my people. That's it. I love serving. That's it. It's no deep answer to it. No big,
backstory.
Yeah, it's just like I just love serving my community. That's it. it's nothing deep. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say. Just love each other, serve each other, be there for each other when we can,
Thank you so much for being on the Run Cult podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will make sure to include all of the Big Peach Running Co. South Fulton's information in the caption and in the show notes. And thank you guys for watching the Run Cult podcast. And remember, running is not only a sport, it is a culture. Until next time, see ya. Yeah.